That moment, the last thing you want to do is record your video because you just want to go run around outside because you look uber cute and spiffy and want everyone to see. We've got to sit down and record your video. 'Cause books. Hi, I'm Teague, and this week's topic is trans books and movies. Now, I have a lot of feels about books. I'm a very book person. I read a lot, and most of all of the books that I actually brought with me moving down here was all of my queer and or trans books. Even though I think I'm missing one, maybe two. I'm not sure, because I only found 9 trans books. And I know I have more than that. Think I have more than that? As I said, I have a lot of feels about books, especially trans books and queer books in general. If you want to calculate all of the LGBTQ, queer, whatever of that variety books that I have, you could probably double in half this stack. Because an entirety of one bookshelf, other than like this much space, is queer books. Yeah, we did leave some, because I know that I'm missing some. So you could probably triple that stack. I don't really know a whole lot about trans movies. For me, a lot of trans movies are really, that I have found, are really triggering. And I try not to put myself in that situation of those feels, because usually I'm watching movies with other people and I don't want to be feeling all of those feels around other people. There are a few trans movies that I have watched and do semi-like. One of them being Tomboy, which is, I think it's French. Or it was introduced to me by one of my friends who was just like, hey, watch this, it's foreign and a trans movie, watch it. So I did, and it's kind of one of those movies that's a bit confusing, especially seeing as it has subtitles, but it's a really good movie if you can get your hands on it. So pretty much all of the trans movies that I have watched and enjoyed, other than Boys Don't Cry, are foreign movies, and that's a bit of a problem that needs to be fixed. Like, that's... What are you doing, US? I'd like to watch trans movies that are in English. That definitely does make me move towards when I am wanting to delve into those kinds of stories to look towards books. And my favorite trans authors is Leslie Feinberg. I absolutely love their writing style. The first, trans-related book that other than Luna by Julianne Peters, that I got was Stonebush Blues. Leslie Feinberg's books put you back into a point in history. And that's what I love about them. You aren't just reading a fictional story. You're learning about queer culture and history, which for me is something that I really love to learn about and really love learning more about. The books that I have, I will start at the top of my stack, and unfortunately all of my Leslie Feinberg is at the bottom of the stack. Out of the trans books that I have a few that seem more like they would be good for people just coming out or people who are just trying to figure things out and are younger. I started looking into getting trans books and book resources when I was just coming out in high school. And the first one that I had gotten was Luna by Julianne Peters. Julian Peters is also one of my favorite authors, and I have a lot of Julian. I have five Julian Peters books, I think. I have a lot of them. I have most of them. But this one is about someone who is transitioning from, or wanting to transition from male to female. For me, it was a good book to like read, to learn about this thing of how I felt, and kind of like a tiny introduction to this scary world. Another one which is kind of beginnery, it's Parrotfish. Might actually help if I show you the title. It definitely is more so directed at a younger audience, but I was interested in reading it a lot because of just some of the weird, quirky things that are in it, and that definitely appealed to me. This is one that I haven't actually read all of yet, but I know that I do need to finish reading it. Yeah, Becoming a Visible Man by Jameson Green is one that I have not finished reading, but it is one that I have and need to read. Neither Here Nor There kind of goes along with my love of like how when I was first being introduced to the trans community, when I was first coming out, I dealt with a lot of shaming from the butch lesbian community where I was living. One of those people, including my ex, but it kind of helped me separate myself from that community and realize that it was okay, that I was not betraying the butch lesbian community, that wasn't me, but this was me, that this was okay, that I could do this. Now, my last 4 books in my stack are all Leslie Feinberg books. So the first Leslie Feinberg book that I was ever introduced to was Stone Butch Blues. When I first read Stone Butch Blues, I began understanding where that shaming was coming from. Because where all of these older butch lesbians were judging me and shaming me and saying that I was betraying them, and saying that I was betraying the community, it was because they're from a different time, they're from a different place. They aren't going through what I'm going through in our current culture. They're seeing it from an entirely different perspective, and that kind of blew my mind a bit. I really had a hard time understanding that they were coming from a different time and place. And it was just kind of like, okay, I understand why you are feeling this way. I don't feel that same way, but I understand why you do. Stone Butch Blues is based around the time of Stonewall, and one that I more recently read is Drag King Dreams. It's based right after 9/11 in Manhattan. For me, it was kind of like just reading a more recent Stone Butch Blues. It's the same kind of story, just placed farther in time. I'm not sure how to explain my feelings about Drag King Dreams, but it definitely did open up my mind quite a bit more to things that I didn't particularly want to yet. The last two that I have in this stack are nonfiction. Transliberation, Beyond Pink and Blue, and Transgender Warriors. Both of which I've read and used in papers. Apparently I'm hitting a wall in my words of being able to describe things how I properly want them to, which is getting really frustrating for me, and I apologize because I'm probably going to just have to end this video soon because I'm starting to feel really anxious. And I apologize that this video quality is getting a lot less because I'm feeling really anxious, and I'm sorry. I'm gonna end this video here because it's time for me to just stop talking for a while. I need to take a break and do some self-care. I'm also going to put a picture at the end of this showing the difference in what happened to my bookshelf when I took all of these books off, because I thought it was kind of funny. Because the spot where all of these books were on my bookshelf, the other half of it mainly is it's a bunch of other queer books, except for a couple on each end, and I just thought it was funny because like all that entire shelf just kind of went. But yeah, I hope y'all have a good week, day, night, whatever it is of when you're watching this, and I hope that y'all that are in school currently are having a really good first few weeks of this term. And remember to just keep your head up high. You can get through this, even though sometimes it feels like you can't, but you can. You can do this. Just keep your head up. So have a good day, night, week, wherever it is that you are in this point in your life. And remember to keep your head up. And I'll see you next week. Bye.